program. So I'm going to introduce Vija Williams. Vija is the head of industry of Place. She's a co-founder of She Inc. Make sure you guys want to talk to her about that. It's a really, really amazing new venture she's doing. And then co-owners of Vija Real Estate. It's a top producing real estate business that's based in Seattle area. In addition to coaching and teaching top teams and brokerages leaders, Vija has also co-hosted award-winning podcasts and real estate webinars as well. Her reputation is as a real estate insider and leaders that landed Vija on most of the major real estate main stage in the United States. So welcome, Vija Williams.
I did it. Will you have my clicker? Good morning, everybody. I'm not even talking about real estate, and I got a great real estate introduction. For those of you I haven't met, it is my pleasure and honor to be here. I flew in from Seattle yesterday, and I'm flying home tonight. Wow. Good times. I know, all for Simon and John. I'm here for it. Who here? Okay, this is fun, because I've showed this slide before. But in this crowd, who recognizes where that is? Someone is going to recognize this one. Verrazano. That's the Verrazano Bridge. Who here knows why I would be running with a bib on the Verrazano Bridge? New York City Marathon. I did not complete that marathon. So this is in 2022. You might notice I look a little different in that picture. I walked into 2022, tell me if any of you guys relate to this, and I decided that I was going to not do one, but I was going to do 2 marathons, having never done one in my life. Felt like it was going to be a good idea. Spoiler alert, did 0. So I just want to kind of clear that up right now. So has anyone here ever attempted a marathon and actually done a marathon? You're amazing. I'm bowing down. Everybody give them a round of applause. You guys, like, respect is through the roof. If I had respect before, it is like through the roof now, right? So I entered the year, and tell me if this resonates with you guys on anything. It doesn't have to be a marathon. I entered the year, and I had this big goal, and I really started working the plan. We're all familiar with that. You start working the plan, and if you've done a marathon, or if you haven't, what you're doing is you're building up miles, and you get to a peak, and then you taper, okay? So I am doing this, and I'm a walker, kind of a walk jogger, which means these are long. Like, you're out there a long time. If you're 15, 20 miles, like that's hours when you're basically a walker. So I got to a point where my longest run, which was it was 17 miles. Remember that number. It was 17 miles. This is the longest I got before the marathon. You really want to get to 20, 23. Some of you guys who raised your hand, everyone's got a little different thing. So I got myself to 17 miles in August. Marathon. My first marathon that I attempted was in Patagonia, Chile. Has anyone ever been there? You guys. Bucket list, am I right? Torres del Paine is God's country. Like, I just don't know another way to describe it. If you add it to your bucket list, Google it later, Patagonia, Chile is the ends of the earth and worth all of the 10 flights to get there. So the first attempt was in Patagonia, Chile, which is one of the toughest marathons in the world. If you Google the Patagonia Marathon, it's a newer marathon. Google the elevation change. It's a shocker. Like, it was really, really hard. So I went into that and waved the white flag and said, you know what? I'm not even going to attempt the marathon. I know my fitness level. I'm just going to do the half. So I did the half on that. But what was weird is I get to this 17-mile long walk run, and I stop training. This had been on social media. Any of you guys on social media with me? I mean, I'm posting about it. I have thousands of dollars of donations, and I freaking stopped training. Weird. I don't have now I can look back, but I didn't have a reason. I stopped training. It's a very weird psychology, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I stopped training. So I knew by the time I got to the Patagonia Marathon in September, wasn't going to hit that. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to come back. I can recover from this. I'm going to I was in decent shape. I can get from 13 to 26 miles, and I can hit the New York Marathon. And I never really got back on the saddle and trained. And guess how far I got in the New York City Marathon? 17 miles. I got to 17 miles and hugged my daughter and my sister. My sister lives in the Upper East Side, really close to you guys. Hugged my daughter, cried, and went and caught a cab with her. It was a moment. It was a moment, not a good moment in my life. I'm not going to pretend that was a good moment in my life, right? So why did I do that? Why did I do that? The other interesting thing is, that is what I looked like when I was doing that. Do I look a little different now? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am going to share that, and I'm certainly not sharing this part to be braggadocious in any way. I'm sharing it to give you hope and to inspire you, and I'm really grateful that I'm on first because you all are here to change something in your life. That's why you're here. That's why you're dedicating today to come here, right? Simon and John want you to change something in your life too. That's why they put blood, sweat, and tears into this, right? These are really hard to put on. Thank you again for having me, by the way. It's my honor to be here. Yeah. So why is it that I stopped training for a marathon? And why is it I allowed myself I was 100 pounds heavier there? Why? Why do we do this? Why do we allow ourselves to get in financial trouble? It doesn't have to be weight, right? It doesn't have to be a marathon, but why do we allow ourselves to get to this point and we just, we keep hitting a ceiling? Sometimes, it's interesting because this talk is about success too. And sometimes what happens is we actually hit a modicum of success. You guys ever done that in your real estate business where you just keep bumping along the same ceiling? You can do a little bit better, some years, a little bit worse, but you're kind of basically the same every year, basically. And there's pros to that. It's a consistent business, right? But, we just kind of hit this level and we can't get past it. We can't get past it. This is what I look like now. This deck, it's a little bit better on Zoom, right? You're seeing me now, but on Zoom it's kind of hard to tell, so whatever. So that was taken 2 weeks ago. But how did I allow myself to get here? How do we all allow ourselves to get to a ceiling, and we just cannot hit that ceiling? Like, I could not do that marathon, right? For a long time, I could not lose this weight, right? 100 pounds is a lot. I mean, I am a different human. I look different. Physically, people don't recognize me anymore. This is a big change, right? My aha came, and a lot of the change that I'm going to talk about today and that I've kind of gone through has come with one concept. And I want you guys to think about this concept today. And what my charge is going to be to you, I want you to listen to me talk this morning. And then as you're listening to everybody talk today, everybody give their panels, do me a favor, write down 3 things and say, this time I'm going to do it. And I'm going to give you tips, but this time I want you guys to actually do the work. And this concept, I hope, will change your life like it changed mine. It's called the upper limit problem. Anyone ever heard of this? Here's what's interesting. We have a room of go-getters. You are in this room because you are a go-getter. If you are at any type of a personal growth, real estate conference, and you're taking time out for education and training, you're in it to win it, right? All of you here want something more, you want something better, and that's why you're here, right? So as it turns out, we think we're go-getters, and we think we're going after it. And you know what we're really seeking? We're seeking comfort. Humans are actually seeking comfort. Y'all grew up like I did with those thermostats that were very basic and they would say comfort zone, like right around the 70-degree mark. Like when you go to apartments, like and you turn them and it's like, well, comfort zone. So if you don't want to get too hot and you don't want to get too cold. As it turns out, we all have comfort zones. That's cliche. You guys have all heard that, right? You've all heard get out of your comfort zone before, but we're going to actually talk about what this means, right? So we have an inner thermostat. Just picture any type of thermostat you want. For all you youngins, you're picturing a ring. But for all of people like me, right, that have some age on us, those little dials. And it would say comfort zone on them, remember? We all have a thermostat. And as it turns out, we are wired to stay in that comfort zone. Here's the good news. I have some good news for you. The good news is that you ever have a year in your business, I think real estate's a great example for this, where you are actually not hitting it and you're like, all right, it's time to get busy. It's time to go for it. You'll actually go up. You'll ramp up to hit your comfort zone. That's the good news. I mean, most of us will kind of get in this range in a lot of areas of our life. We do it with our weight. Weight's a really tangible example. We often do it with our finances and we do it with our business. So the good news is, if you're not hitting it, you'll probably do enough, just enough, watch yourself. If you look back, you'll go, just enough to hit that comfort zone. But what happens if we go over the comfort zone? So what happens is we do not see ourselves as a marathon runner, and we get freaked out. And what happens is we sabotage our own success. No one did that to me. I did that to myself, right? I didn't have a deep meaning of what I was doing at the time, obviously, and that's what we're going to talk about. Awareness is key. But why on earth would I just stop my training? What was going on in my brain that I stopped my training on like my big bucket list thing of the year? It's crazy. It really doesn't make any sense. Well, what really happened is I hit an upper limit problem. So I had a coach at the time. I have 2 to 3 coaches at a given time. And I had a coach at the time, and through this time period of training for a marathon, we bought our dream house. I live in Seattle, Washington, as I said, and we bought a dream home on a lake. I don't know if the same here. Living on the water, when you're from the Pacific Northwest, it's really the ultimate. Maybe it's living in a country club here, I don't know. Living on the water, it's a dream. It's just a dream. And so we bought a house on a lake about an hour and a half from Seattle that is my spot, right? It was a big moment. And I bought it, and all this is happening right around the time that I stopped working out. Keep that in mind as we keep talking. So it's all happening around the same time. I didn't realize it, but within weeks of this conversation, I would stop working out. It's just weird how life is. And my coach said, we were talking, and we were like 10 minutes into the 30-minute call, and I said, oh, by the way, we bought the house. Yeah. She's like, what do you mean you bought the house? What house? I said, that lake house I've been talking about. She's like, you mean the lake house you've been talking about your whole life, that house? The lake house you've been talking about ever since we've been coaching? You just bought that house. I go, yeah, bought it. It's good. She's like, are you excited about it? I mean, the bucket list house, just to be clear. I said, yeah, it's good. And she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, well, it hasn't closed yet. I'm not going to, knock wood, it hasn't closed yet. And she was like, are you worried about it? I'm like, it's all transferred, that it's going to close. Like, no, I'm not really worried about it. And so she paused, and we were on Zoom, and she stared at me. She said, how's your working out going? And I was like, it's fine. I've got my 17-miler coming up. Didn't know at the time. And she said, Vija, have you ever heard of an upper limit problem? And I had never heard it in my life, and I knew immediately what it was. When she asked me. And she said, you are not seeing yourself in your new identity, and you are stuck in a comfort zone, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned that you're not going to get out of that comfort zone. So you have an upper limit problem when that thing that you keep wanting is elusive and you just don't get it. You just can't hit 1 million GCI. You just can't hit 135 pounds. You just can't hit a net worth of X. You just can't get out of debt. You can't run the marathon. I could go on this whole time, right? So that's when you know you've hit an upper limit problem. There's also other ways that you've known. But I'd like you guys to think about, while I'm talking right now, is there any area in your life, just think about the first thing that jumps out at you that's jumping out at you. It could be weight, it could be finances, it could be your business, it could be relationships, you could be single and you're not quite finding, Mr. or Mrs. Right. Whatever it is anyone here, is anything jumping out at you? You don't have to share what it is. I just want to see if this is clicking yet. Okay. By the time I'm done, every single one of you guys will have your hands up. I guarantee you, because this is universal. It's universal. So how do you know that you're hitting an upper limit problem, that you're not accepting a new identity, that you're probably blocking yourself? How do you know? The first thing is you stop working out.